Hello, it's Dawn. I'm back again. I hope you're having a good week so far. And today we're going to finish off this painting. What we're going to do today is we're going to add life to our paintings. Now, if I hadn't done all these little bits of drawing, you might think, well, that's finished. Well, it could be. You could just leave it like this. But we're going to add just a little bit of life to it today. In fact, you might be able to see from where you are what I'm going to do, or you might be able to guess what I'm going to do. But we're going to break it down, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier for you. So we're going to add, these are going to be cows in the distant field. Trust me, they'll look like cows by the time we're done. We've got a couple of chickens in the foreground by the barn here, and we've got a couple of people. But I'm going to show you how we do that. So I'm just going to cover that up. So first of all, let's start with the cows. Now, the cows are very easy. We're not talking about the front cover of Farmers Weekly here. We're just looking at images in the distance. So you can't see any detail. I will draw these a lot bigger than what you need to draw them. You'll need to draw these quite small. But I will draw them bigger just for the purposes of this exercise so that you can see how we do it. So the cows are going to be nothing more complicated than triangles. So here we go. Just make sure that your first triangle, the first line of your first triangle, I should say, is vertical, like that. Then come out and draw it like that. And then the next one, you're going to do it in the opposite direction. But this one still needs to come up like that. Then you draw another one like that to make the tummy. Now we're going to assume that our cows are eating the grass, because that's what they seem to spend a lot of their time doing. So we're going to do an elongated triangle down like that. And then we're going to put another short triangle on the end. So it doesn't really look much like a cow now, but if you do that small and paint it in the appropriate colour, it will look like a cow in the distance. So then I'm going to go straight on and show you how we draw a chicken. Now a chicken, again, is just a triangular system. So if we're going to have him standing up straight, or her standing up straight, we're just going to do a triangle with a straight line at the top like that. Then we're going to give her a tail. If it was going to be a male cockerel, you'd have feathers just coming out like that. But we'll keep ours simple, and we're going to keep it, if this was a cockerel, you'd have feathers coming out. But we're going to keep this simple. We're going to make her a hen. So for the neck, just a very short triangle like that. And for the head, another short triangle like that. Now this will all be filled in, so what you do then is you stop it looking like triangles by rounding the edges. So you just do that, and already it's starting to look like a chicken. And this is of course much bigger than you normally do it, so just like that, like that. Oh, legs are a bit too far apart, but never mind, that's okay. Let's take this one out. And yeah, let's do the legs in the proper place. So that will be like that, and that will be like that. Now, if you want your chicken to be feeding, you do this. Instead of having your triangle flat to begin with, you have her coming down like that. And again, that's the body. The bum will be sticking up in the air, so there's the tail. We'll have, actually, we can get away without doing the neck here. We can just put the head. So again, another little triangle, and these are all a lot smaller, or they will be, and feet. And again, we just round out our shapes like that. So by the time we're done, they won't look like triangles. So we do that, and as I say, when we put these in our paintings, we do them a lot smaller. So when we see our cows, our chickens, and our people, we only forgot the person. That's just as easy, only we're not going to do triangles this time. Let's see where we can put it. Let's put it here. So most people say they can't even draw a stick man. So let's start with a stick. So we're going to start with a stick, and we're going to divide it in half, and in half again. I know that looks a bit like a telegraph pole, but it won't by the time we're finished. And on the top, this top section here is going to be where we put the head. Now from here to here is where we put our body. So these lines, or these marks, are really only guidelines. So if you want to give them a bit of a waist, you can, but again, these are only going to be figures, they're not going to be portraits. And you bring the legs down just to a point. So if you want the person walking, bring one leg slightly longer than the other. And for the arms, all you need are 2 curved lines. You don't need anything more detailed than that. And so now we're going to take that away. And again, we will do this a lot smaller. So let's take that away now. Let's bring in our paints, which I've got over here. I'll tell you the colours as we go along. Let's start with the ones in the background, our cows. So I've got a nice new clean, well at the moment it's a clean bucket of water. And we need a small mix of, I think we'll make these brown cows. So we'll do a mix of burnt sienna and burnt umber, which I'm just going to pop on my palette like that. And I'm going to use a rigger or a worker brush or a liner writer, whichever, anyway, a thin pointed brush. So the equivalent, whatever equivalent you've got as of a rigger. And we're just going to go over our lines like that. So when you start actually adding some colour to it and just manipulating the lines a little bit better, you will see that they will start, hopefully, to look like cows. So just put a little head on there. We could have made that a little bit wider, but never mind. And put that like that. And I'll just pick up a little bit more paint. And this one right at the back's even smaller. So if you wanted to, you could cheat even further. You could use one of your marker pens or an alcohol pen to do this if you didn't want to do it in paint. But we won't do that, we'll do it in paint. This is just in watercolour. So there we go, there is, or there are, 2 cows mid-distance. That was easy, wasn't it? So then we're going to move on to our chickens in the foreground. And I think we'll start off anyway by using the same brush, and we're going to use the same mix. I'm just going to mix up a little bit more. But this time we're going to do slightly more burnt sienna and just a touch of burnt umber, just to give it a bit of colour, just to give it a bit of strength. Because of course burnt sienna is a transparent colour and burnt umber is an opaque colour, and we need to get over the colour of this grass. So let's start with this one down here. So again, we're just going to follow the lines round. This time when I drew it in, I did actually round out my lines in the drawing. Oh, let's just pick up a bit more. So all in one colour, we're just going to follow those lines round. So once you start putting the colours in, hopefully they will start to look like chickens feeding on the ground like that. So you don't need any more detail than that, apart from the legs of course. So just pop that down like that, all in one colour. You don't need to worry about changing colours and putting eyes and nose and beaks, or beaks and eyes. We're not going to worry about detail because you're not going to see it. If they've got their head down, if these chickens have got their head down and they're feeding their faces, you're not going to see their eyes. So you don't need to put them in. So there we go. We're just going to round that out. As we paint, we're just going to use the brush to create the shape of our hens. So we'll just fill that in like that. Oh, I like that one. And you don't need to worry about putting in the extra wing because again, you won't really see it. And then we're going to bring that down like that, just with the point of our brush. And there are 2 chickens. Now that was easy, wasn't it? Now, for the people, we're going to stick with the same brush, but what we're going to do, you can probably see the markings that I've put out where I've drawn in the guidelines. So we're going to start ladies first. We'll assume that it's a man and a lady walking off towards the distance. So we're going to keep this really simple. We're going to have them walking away from us. So you don't even have to worry about a face. All we need to do is the hair. So we are going to assume that our lady, actually let's start with I said we're going to start. Let's start at the bottom and work up. So we're going to assume that she's wearing jeans. Well, I'm going to assume that she's wearing jeans. Of course, when you do yours, you can put them in whatever colour you like. So I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt blue, not too strong. So that's all we need, just a little puddle of not too wet or not too strong cobalt blue. And we're going to just paint that down there like that. So you can see the life coming to our painting. It's no longer an empty landscape. There's something going on. So just bring that down a little bit further. That's absolutely fine. And now while that's drying, we'll do the man's, well, it's drying a little bit anyway. And I think we will have him in just ordinary plain dark brown trousers. So just a bit of burnt umber. So let's just pick up some colour. Just a little bit of burnt umber. Nothing too fancy or difficult. So again, we're just going to roughly keep within the lines that we've drawn. Doesn't matter if you go over them a little bit or you veer from them a little bit. So there is trousers. Must wear trousers when you're outside or you'll be arrested. So there we go. There's his trousers. And what colour shall we have for her top? Let's have her in a red top, shall we? Give her a nice red top. So I've got just a spot of cadmium red out. And of course you don't have to use these colours. You can use whatever colour you like. Or whatever colours you like. So I've just got a little cadmium red. And we're just going to pop that on like that. And come over that. And these little guidelines will disappear when you put the paint on. So you don't have to worry about them. As long as you don't draw them in too heavily to begin with. You don't use a thick pencil. Just an ordinary fine pencil will do. They won't be seen, so don't worry about them. And we're just going to put the arm like that. So just coming in front. And let's, oh, shall we have them holding hands? Yes, why not? So let's have them holding hands. A couple in love. So you never know, they could be. And then I think, again, while that's drying off a little bit, I think we'll have him with a green jacket, because green and red are opposites on the colour wheel. And so putting them side by side in your painting will give them impact. Any colours that you put opposite, if you put opposite colours from your colour wheel, if you have a colour wheel and you put opposites together, for example, red and green, that area will always give it impact. So there you are, there's another tip for you if you didn't already know it. I'm sure some of you did. So there we go. So we're going to give him a green jacket. And we'll just make that a little bit thicker, I think. So I'm not going to add more water, I'm just going to add more colour. Just to cover up those guidelines. That's fine. And again, we'll just have him with his arm coming down there like that. Now all we've got to do is do their hair. We won't have them the same coloured hair, I don't think. So we will give her ginger hair, I think. We'll give the lady ginger hair. So for that, I'm just going to pick up some burnt sienna. Just a blob of burnt sienna. And I'm just going to use all the same brush. You may have noticed I've used the same brush throughout for this whole little bit. That's because we don't want to go too bad. Because these are only little subtle bits to add them to life. Little subtle extras to bring this painting to life a little. So we won't do too much. That'll do for that one. We'll bring her hair down a little bit maybe. So that'll do, it won't really show. And finally, I'm going to pick up just a spot of black. I've got some black on my palette here, just a tiny spot because I'm only using it for the man's hair. And we'll just pick that up and we'll give him a nice thick head of black hair. Full head of black hair, maybe I should have said, not thick head. That might have implied something we didn't want to. A full head of black hair, let's put it that way. That sounds a lot kinder, doesn't it? So there we go. Nice full head of black hair. And there is our painting finished. So we have our people, our cows mid-distance, and our chickens. And the chickens and the cows all started as triangles, and our people started as no more than a stick. So I hope you've enjoyed this and found it useful. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will be back on Monday, and we'll be doing another full painting and a full demonstration of something different. So pop back on Monday and find out what I get up to next. And if you're enjoying these videos and you haven't already, please do subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and you'll never miss an upload or a new tutorial. And I'll see you Monday. And in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care, everybody. Have fun. And as always, happy painting. Bye-bye for now.